Dear members of the 6th International Conference on Business, Education, Social and Technology 2025, my name is Ivaylo Tassev. It's very nice to present here at this conference. So here is my study, my article. It's called HTS and ISIS in today's Syria, coexistence or conflict. What is HTS? Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. This is a terrorist organization in Syria, which actually took power just very recently. It overthrew the government of Bashar al-Assad. What is ISIS? ISIS, as you all know, is the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, which has been active in the region. Actually, I have been examining this ISIS organization for a long time, and my PhD is on this. So for introduction, as you know, very recently, the government of the Syrian president Bashar al-Assad was overthrown. He fled to Russia, and different rebel groups, different factions took control in Syria. So, like, there are different rebels, but one of them, and probably the most important one, is Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, which is the dominant one. We have some Kurdish factions, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and so on. We also have some big countries like Turkey, Russia, Iran, the US, which also want to influence the peaceful negotiation transitional process. So right now, Syria is a very interesting case. People observe what will happen there next. There is a possibility of a new civil war or different parties, different groups coming together and trying to achieve peace. Next, origins and development of the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS. First of all, I explain ISIS. I have been studying a lot about ISIS since its establishment in 2014. As you all know, the Islamic State actually has its roots from Al-Qaeda in Iraq, from the occupation of Iraq, the US invasion of Iraq in 2003. So ISIS has a long history dating back from the Iraqi war. And actually, ISIS started in 2014, June 2014, when the leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, declared a caliphate in 2014. He said Islamic State is a country, a nation state, a country, and it was based on Sunni, Salafist laws, values, and it was going to expand more and more into neighboring countries and in the whole world. But al-Baghdadi was calling for a global jihad against all infidels. So this is probably the most extreme terrorist organization the world has ever seen. ISIS was quite big. It occupied a territory as big as the United Kingdom. However, ISIS ceased to exist in 2019. It was totally defeated in Iraq and Syria, but still there are some fighters there which still try to achieve dominance. So this is on the right, al-Baghdadi. He was killed actually by the Americans, and this is a photo representing the soldiers of the Islamic State. What is the origins and development of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham? This is my next point. Here I look at Hayat Tahrir al-Sham after explaining about ISIS. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, appeared from the early phases of the Syrian civil war in 2011. Actually, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham also originated from Al-Qaeda, just like ISIS. It originated from Al-Qaeda, and it was fighting in Syria. The leader, even the current leader, is Abu Muhammad al-Julani. Al-Julani, probably everyone has heard this name recently. HTS has been connected to both Al-Qaeda and ISIS, but then separated from both of them and considered them as rivals. It was even fighting with them. It's very interesting because HTS appeared from Al-Qaeda first, then it was connected to ISIS, then it separated from ISIS, then it connected with Al-Qaeda again, then it separated from Al-Qaeda, and now it is an independent organization. So, all in all, it has been linked to both ISIS and Al-Qaeda, which is a very interesting. And also, HTS and ISIS were one thing. They were one thing before. On this photo on the right, this is Al-Julani, the current leader. Actually, he was listed as a terrorist, and even the Americans put an award for him. Now, probably this reward will be taken off as he has a moderate approach. He's not considered so dangerous. On the left, you can see soldiers of HTS. What are the main differences between HTS and ISIS? Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, is more moderate and emphasizes the domestic situation in Syria. HTS now is the dominant force in Syria. It is the strongest one. All others are weaker. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Kurdish militia or parties are weaker. HTS does not aim for global jihad, just like ISIS does. It is more oriented towards political governance in Syria. It just focuses on Syria. On the other hand, ISIS is harsher and pursues global jihad everywhere in the whole world. It wants to defeat Jews, Christians, Shia Muslims, and so on. So ISIS is much harsher than HTS, although both originate from the same root. What is the current situation in Syria now? And what is the space between HTS and ISIS? Can the two factions coexist, or they will fight? As I already said, they have the same root, but then they separated and they were fighting with each other. HTS was persecuting ISIS soldiers. So, will they fight or will they coexist? What is the reaction of ISIS when the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham took power in Syria? I remind you that exactly Hayat Tahrir al-Sham took over the regime of Bashar al-Assad. ISIS has criticized HTS for being too open to Western democracies. ISIS said that HTS is, in a way, serving international interests. It does not follow its global jihadist values, which should be its main, which should be the main idea. On the other hand, HTS is much stronger in Syria. It's stronger than ISIS. And ISIS is harsher, more brutal, more extreme, more violent, but HTS is softer. It tries to unite Syrians. It says it cares for Syrians. It claims it will resolve all the problems, but I remind you that there are many factions. Turkey also wants to get involved in the peaceful negotiation process. The US, Donald Trump said he doesn't want to intervene. Bashar was close to Russia. Iran also has its own interest, and so on. So, will ISIS and HTS fight? This remains to be seen. In conclusion, Syria now is in a political turmoil with an uncertain future. We don't know if all these different groups will fight, will bury the hatchets, will negotiate. In my opinion, there is a big possibility of a civil war, but as I said, we have to see what the big powers have to say. Turkey really wants to get involved in the transitional phase. Different groups have their objectives. neighbors and big states in the name of Turkey, Saudi Arabia, US, Russia, Iran, and others, they observe the process. So everything remains to be seen. There will be interim government by March 2025. So reforms are taking place as we speak. Thanks. Thank you.